All right, guys, welcome. It's your Motivational Monday with Monique here, and I'm here to talk to you in the Divorce Dare Facebook group with a family attorney. He specializes in divorce. His name is Douglas Mitchell, and he is with the Mitchell and Crunk Attorneys group over in the Northeast Georgia. He's been practicing for 9 years, and I met him through a group with Gary Vee leading it. And what was that called again, Douglas?
The First in Line group. Is that what
First
you're talking
in Line group. And we were just in there. It's a nice networking group where we can get some ideas off of each other. And during this pandemic, this is what it's all about. It's providing value to you and seeing how we can be of service. So I thought, what a great way for him to talk about some of the ways that he can help in this industry when so much of us might be struggling either within our lives, in our careers, or if you are going through a divorce, maybe in some of these instances, especially when we're in shelter in place, we're stuck at home, and some of these issues might be a little bit more elevated at this time. So I'm going to let Douglas take it away and talk about, we were discussing just some of the options and topics that we could address today, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about himself, but we thought about mental blocks as maybe being a great topic. So I'm going to let him take it away, and thank you so much, Douglas, for joining us.
Sure, happy to be here, Monique. I'm married. I have 4 children. They're all young, as in they're 11 and under. And so living that family life all the time, all day, all long. But when I'm not with them, I am a family law attorney. I own my own law firm. And we do primarily divorce when it comes to family law, as that's the most common legal issue that comes up in the family law space. And that's been a very really interesting endeavor to be involved with. As for me, I see it as one of the most important issues in our society, because I still believe the family unit is kind of the foundational structure for our society, for our country, for our communities, and a lot of things are based off of that family unit. And that family unit can have all kinds of different shapes and sizes and different formats, but as a structure, it's something that it's the glue that holds things together. And so I found it very fulfilling to be a family law attorney, to help families when that structure is under attack, or there's something's not jiving right in a family by family, to help put those things together, help create what's that next step going to look like, that next plan, or like we like to call it, how do we write that next chapter for that family so it's still something that is going to contribute to society, keep that strength for those family members involved. Now, we are mostly just involved on one side of it, but for our client, that's how do we do that for our clients so they have some hope and they have something that's going to still hold that structure as a family unit after the divorce, for example.
Love that. So, why don't you get into maybe some of the mental blocks that you've seen some of the clients have? And you told me a great story about your dad. So, I would say that story again, tie it in, and maybe help some of the people that are watching get through maybe some of the top mental blocks that you've seen come through your practice and how you've helped them to overcome that.
Yeah, the first one I see is playing the blame game, as we've all heard it. It's that I don't want to look at my own faults and the things that I contributed to the divorce happening. It's so easy to just focus on what mistakes and bad qualities and traits that my spouse has, and I'm going to just blame them over and over again. And it's not, that mental block is just not being comfortable in your own skin and realize, look, I did these things wrong too. This is, I could have done this or I could have done that maybe would have helped our marriage stay together. And my dad taught me that lesson as a kid in one way, because as siblings, if you ever have a sibling growing up, you tend to fight and you argue about lots of things, and that there's some pretty heated ones, and we had some heated ones growing up. And my dad was never really one to pick sides. He would immediately just kind of give us this common lecture over and over, and that was, look, you have an option right now. You can either choose to continue being mad and think it's all your brother's fault, because I mostly had brothers growing up, or you can decide for yourself that you want to be happy, or you don't want to be mad. You don't want to have that whatever you're feeling right now that's got you so enraged, and you can choose to be something better, something else. Choose to be happy. You have that choice, and don't let anybody ever take that away from you, he would say. And it was like, at the time, that's like golden counsel, like golden wisdom for so many conflicts we deal with, including divorce. But back then, I didn't want to hear that. But also, people getting divorced, sometimes they don't want to hear that either. They just want their divorce lawyer to tell them, oh yeah, your spouse is in trouble for all these things, all these things, all these things. We're gonna make them pay, or they're gonna have to pay the consequences for that in your divorce. And you're an angel. Like, thank goodness we got the angel side of this divorce. That's sometimes what people want. And especially if it's going to be a high conflict divorce. And that's usually, I have to fall back on that kind of advice, is to say, no, this is about your marriage and untangling your marriage that was very much intertwined together. And the longer we continue to think that you're great and your spouse is terrible and it's all their fault, then that's not going to let you heal. And you're going to just continue thinking unrealistically that you are just perfect in all this. And it's better for you to start the process to come to terms with what you could do better. Because guess what? You're probably going to need to start working on fixing some of those things if you ever want to have another healthy relationship in the future. And most people do. It's rare you have that person. Sometimes you hear them right during the divorce, like, oh no, I'm never getting married again. I'm done. I'm done with men. I'm done with women. Like, I'm done. I'm just going to do the dating thing. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't hold up. And they're usually ones that are calling in a year because they got married again and they want to get divorced again because they didn't come to terms with all of that stuff. And so they found a rebound person and they didn't come to terms with it. And they think they're, I don't know. Sometimes it goes back to their parents. Their parents just told them they were the pretty little princess all the time, and so they can do no wrong. So when things go wrong in their life, it's not my fault. It's got to be this other factor, And they don't always blame the spouse. They'll blame, well, it's my job. My job's so terrible. Or, the kids are just really hard to deal with, and he didn't know how to raise them, or she didn't know how to raise them. I mean, it's just a lot of blame. And there needs to be a lot of like, well, what could have I controlled? And so it's a really powerful discussion when it sinks in for people. And we find our clients are really grateful for it because they see the longer picture of where that can go.
So tell me a little bit about your ideal, the majority of your clients. What are the ones that you typically feel like you can help best? What do those people look like, in case any of the viewers that are watching are like, he would be great for me to reach out to?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing is humility. Anybody that just kind of comes, they're kind of broken, but they're not so broken that they just can't even hold their emotions together, which that happens. But there's somebody that's just like, look, this is a terrible thing. It's happened. I don't know how I can fix it, or it can't be fixed, but it needs to happen. But I want it to happen just the best way for me and my spouse. What can we do to have this happen for both of us that's best for us? Or if they have children, that's best for us and especially the children. And just coming with that humility. I mean, people that come in and they're just raving mad, that's a very difficult client because, one, that's a client where their case is probably going to take a lot more time, which is going to cost them more money. But guess what? If they're mad at their spouse, how quickly do they turn and get mad at their divorce attorney for how expensive the divorce is turning? And again, they're not they're not recognizing how they are causing these things, just like they aren't, like I talked about earlier, they're not recognizing how they cause some pain and some trouble for their marriage to end up in a divorce. So the humility is a real big one. Someone just comes in to say, look, I'm humble, I trust what you're going to say, I just have realized we have to get divorced. What do you think? And then we can really use our experience and not have to play these mind games with them about their expectations and how well they're going to take advice from us. And sometimes we frankly just won't give them advice that they miss out on because we know they're never ready for it. And so humility goes a long way, just like it does in a lot of situations, because you're ready. You're ready to hear the advice you need to hear. If you're not humble, you're not going to be ready for it. And it's either going to become really expensive, or you're not going to get the result you wanted because you didn't get the advice, but you got the result, but without what you wanted to get from it because you wouldn't listen to the advice.
Yeah, Gary Vee talks about humility a lot, so I think there's a lot in common there. That's
Yeah.
great, Douglas. Well, how can we find you? I will be putting all your descriptions within the post that I do, but why don't you just verbally let everyone know how could they reach you if they wanted? Do you have a website? What's the best contact that they can do to reach you?
Yeah, I've started a kind of a personal brand. You can search for me just by Douglas Mitchell, or actually it's Dougie Me on Facebook, and that's Dougie spelled Dougiemee. I'm not sure if I'm going with that name, but right now, if you just search in Facebook for that, you'd find it. You're going to see a lot of this kind of, the typical discussions, rants, quotes that I give to my clients. So if you want to see that content, or if you want to just look at my law firm, it's mitchellcrunk.com, and that's the law firm's website. So either way, and so you
Great,
can look at me up on Instagram, LinkedIn, all those other places also. Just
great. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
sure.
All
Happy to
right.
do.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and share all this content. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to either of us. You know where to find me, the Divorce Dare support group on Facebook. And I'm also on LinkedIn under Monique Fuentes.realtor.